Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Transport and asks, will he increase investment in better public transport infrastructure in light of the poll this week showing Aucklanders favour public transport spending by a 4-to-1 margin over roads?
Honourable
Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, I'll try and run through this question if I can. Mr. Speaker,
Order.
The answer to the question about whether we'll invest more is yes, because that's been our record over the last 6 years, to continue investing in public transport. But in reaction to the poll, the answer would be no, because our record speaks for itself.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
What specific new public transport infrastructure projects has his government committed to funding over the next 3 years, excluding rail electrification and the DART projects which were committed by the last Labor government?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member would need to look at the draft government policy statement on transport to see that there are numerous intentions for spending there that relate to public transport. But I would also say that we're about to enter a period where parties are going to compete for votes from electors, and the member should stand by to receive some of the policy information from the National Party that I'm sure she'll be willing to support.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Does he consider his budget for new infrastructure in the government policy statement, which he just referenced, shown here in this graph, to be the balanced spend in better public transport infrastructure that most Kiwis have said that they want?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, I think the member needs to recognise that about 3% of all kilometres travelled are undertaken on public transport by New Zealanders. The member might also like to reflect that buses and often bikes need roads to run on.
Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Does the minister acknowledge that people can't take public transport that doesn't exist or isn't reliable, and that's why they would like his government to invest in better public transport so they won't be forced to clog up the road with their cars?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, the problem we have is that public transport services that are available now are very expensive. The subsidy rate on those trips is enormous. If someone is taking a train trip from Papakura into Britomart, the subsidy is in excess of $24 each way. Mr. Speaker, along the way there'll be other stations where there are similar sorts of subsidies but at less levels. Mr. Speaker, it's also worth noting that if you were to take a bus trip on motorways, a bus trip on roads, the subsidy gets down to about $2.22 on average across the country. So to simply say, stop building the infrastructure and put it all into public transport denies the fact that public transport needs roading infrastructure to operate.
Point of order.
We'll move to question. Point of order, Julianne Genter.
I seek leave to table research showing the average public transport subsidy across the country is $2.50.
The source of the research.
It's a research report completed for the New Zealand Transport Agency.
I'll put the leave on the basis it might be difficult for members to obtain and they can make their choice. Leave is sought to table that particular research document. Is there any objection? It can be tabled. Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Will he commit to start the City Rail Link on time next year if rail patronage growth, released tomorrow, shows 13% growth on last year and thus on a path to achieve the patronage targets set by his government? And if not, why not?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, because the question is self-evident that if it's on a path, then it will reach a point where we would have that agreement. But on the path is not reaching the point.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Given the minister's distaste for queuing, which was demonstrated today, Why is his government pursuing an unbalanced transport policy that will lead to more New Zealanders being stuck in traffic queues?
Honourable Jerry.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think we're doing that. We're spending an enormous amount on infrastructure throughout the country, including the regions. And in the particular case of Auckland, which was the basis of the question today, the government is spending, on average, about $190 million on public transport.
Supplementary question, Dennis O'Rourke.
Why does the government have no plans for further rail electrification, such as Papakura to Pukekohe, in its land transport plans?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think it would be helpful to the member if I were to give him some information about the level of subsidy that's required over and above any infrastructure costs that might be required in those services. Mr. Speaker, as I said before, if someone is travelling from Papakura into the city of Auckland, the subsidy each way is about $24.90, $50 per trip. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't matter whether or not the subsidy is less because the distance is less, the cost of providing the service remains the same. So what has to happen for public transport to get bigger and better investment is usage. And that, sir, is not something that we're seeing at the moment.
Supplementary question, Dennis O'Rourke.
Does the Minister agree that bigger penalties are needed to ensure public compliance with airport security requirements?
Mr. Speaker, I can only say that I do respect the laws when they are broken by people, and they should be very sorry for doing so.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Why does the Prime Minister's leaked announcement of an accelerated timeframe for Auckland's second harbour crossing not include rail and road as recommended by the Auckland Plan?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't speculate on the contents of a leaked document.
Order. Supplementary question, the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
To the Minister of Transport, can he confirm that the government's walking and cycling policy has now been extended to include the Minister of Transport himself undertaking a pilot project into running, which he launched at Christchurch Airport today?
Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
I would recommend to anybody the opportunities to either run, cycle or walk for its health benefits, but frankly not for its political benefits.
Point of order, the Honourable
I seek leave for the edification of the House to table two documents, sir. One is entitled How to Go Through Airport Security Smoothly by a publication called
Order. And the second document?
And the second document, sir, is entitled The Idiot's Guide to Airports by a publication at Victoria University. I think it's called Sapient, sir.
Order. The documents have been described. It's Thursday. I'll put the leave to table those two documents. It's over to the House to decide. Leave as sought. Is there any objection? They will be tabled. Question number 11. Dr. Jan Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.